Loud. Okay, there we go. So good morning, everyone. We are 1 million cups Metro Detroit. It is 9 in the morning and it is April the 28th, so welcome. We've got a great presenter who understands 1 million cups really well in Alaina Campbell, and she's going to talk to us about her startup. Actually, it's now 2000, is it 18 when you started, Alaina? Something like that,
Yes.
called Sprout Bake. And Alaina has a great background in business development in terms of advising, and has now, as she was saying earlier when we were talking, she now is walking the walk as well as talking the talk as far as business development. So comes to this with a lot of great background. So the way this goes is we have about 6 minutes of presentation about the business, and then about 20 minutes or so of discussion and questions and comments and suggestions. And with the key piece at the close being, how can our metropolitan Detroit startup community help Alaina and her business? So that's the whole purpose of and point of 1 million cups. Across the country, there are about 160 some odd chapters spread all across this country. And it's all about education and support for startups, for entrepreneurs who are starting businesses in the early stage, because the early stage of businesses, particularly when businesses need support and comradeship and education and advice and connection. And that's what 1 million cups is built to. Thank you, Stephen. Good note. Please join our community. Stephen has just put in the chat a link to 1 million cups Metro Detroit. And with that, I'm gonna, are you able to share screen on your screen, Alaina? Okay, so I'm just gonna turn it over to you and you can take it away.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And I want to recognize that we have a few of our foodpreneurs on the call here. Because You Are Priceless Tea, BIG Granola, and Zoot Belgian Chocolates and Waffles, I see, are on the call. So thank you so much for joining us. My name's Alaina Campbell. I am the co-owner and founder of Sprout Bake. And I'm going to play, let me get this set. There we go. So I just wanted to start out with that quick little video that we put together that describes our product and how easy it is to use. I'm Alaina Campbell, as I said, the co-founder. You'll see in this picture also my daughter, Carissa Campbell. And we are a mother-daughter team that came up with the recipes for our Sprout Bake batter. Why we got started. So our daughter was experiencing a tremendous amount of issues in middle school and her early high school days, gastrointestinal issues, stomach issues. We were having a very difficult time figuring out what was going on with her. We finally did what's called the GAPS diet, which is where you eliminate all of the known major food allergens. You reintroduce them one at a time to kind of figure out what's irritating, your body. What we discovered was gluten and dairy were two major irritants for her. Well, this was pretty devastating. because we loved to bake together. That was one of our mother-daughter things that we did together, you know, as a family. And we needed to figure out how we could bake in a different way. So we started with, of course, traditional gluten-free recipes, which after I started researching are still made with white flour, potato starch, white rice flour. They're still the flours that are devoid of nutritional value. So I was on a search, how could I make something that was gluten-free, that was also nutrient dense, that my kids would like. And that's a key ingredient. You can make a lot of great products that are gluten-free and are nutrient dense, but if no one likes them, particularly your children that you're trying to get good food into, then what is the use of it? So we embarked on our journey to create these recipes. We I had been part of the Weston A. Price Foundation, which is an organization that promotes traditional preparation of food, traditional growing of food, or I don't want to say manufacturing of food, but production of food. And through the Weston A. Price Foundation, I learned about sprouted ingredients. I had known nothing about, I mean, when you think of sprouting, you think of little green shoots, right? You think of pea sprouts or sprouts that you would put on your, you know, as a topping on your salad or something like that. But sprouting also means soaking a nut or a grain overnight to begin that process. And what happens is it breaks down the outer coating of the nut, the seed, or the grain. That outer coating is very hard for our body to digest and can be a big irritant for a lot of people. So we use sprouted oat flour in our product, which happens to be gluten-free. It also happens to be at only about a 50 on the glycemic index. So for anybody who knows anything about blood sugar, and or if you're diabetic or pre-diabetic, you understand the glycemic index. Oat flour is in the middle of that index, whereas something like a potato starch or a white rice flour would be at the top. So something that converts very quickly to sugar, you know, would be potato starch or the white rice flour, whereas the sprouted oat flour is in the middle of the index, so it's not going to convert to sugar as quickly. So we use sprouted oat flour. We use sprouted almond butter. So again, I was trying to get nutrition into this batter, pack it with nutrition. Sprouted almond butter, again, because it's sprouted, a lot of people who think they have a nut allergy, it's really not a nut allergy. It's an issue with the fact that the nut hasn't been sprouted. It's something back in the day that people did all the time. In biblical times, they actually talk about it in the Bible, the importance of soaking your nuts and grains and seeds overnight. We've just gotten away from it in our modern day, you know, manufacture of, you know, mass production of food. So sprouted almond butter. And then also we have either butternut squash, sweet potato puree, or pumpkin puree, depending on the flavor of the product. So that's what's in it. And that's why we use sprouted ingredients. So I've done, of course, a lot of research about market trends. Gluten-free market trends, we all know gluten-free, the gluten-free market has increased dramatically over the last decade or so. The global market for gluten-free food is expected to continue to grow, as you can see here, from 2020 to 2025 to 8.3 billion, driven in large part by the millennial generation. There's a growing perception that gluten-free is healthier for you. Part of my mission is to educate people about sprouting and the nutritional value in using sprouted ingredients. And it's just now starting, people are starting to get a little bit more aware of what sprouting is. And sprouted products are just starting to become a little bit more available in the market. Of course, nutrient dense market trends. We all know people are reading labels a lot more than they ever did before. They're seeking out those nutrient dense foods. You know, kale exploded on the scene, right? Not too long ago, and everybody was on the kale kick, right? Because it's so nutrient dense and so good for you. And then of course the sprouted grains and nuts market. The place that I get my sprouted almond butter from is called Longhurst Farms. They're in Sheridan, Wyoming. He and his wife have actually been making sprouted nuts and sprouted nut butters since the 70s. They fell into doing it because his wife was having severe issues that they couldn't figure out. She went and saw a functional medicine doctor in California, and he was the one that taught them about sprouting and the importance of it. And that's why they started their whole business. Based on his wife's struggles. So we do own an ice cream shop in downtown Lake Orion. That was not by design. I did not seek out an ice cream shop. What I was seeking was a kitchen that I could produce my product in. We started out in Oxford in a small cafe a girlfriend of mine owned. She was allowing us to use her kitchen on Sundays for free to get started. She was our first test market. She was selling our product. We were making it there on Sunday for her, freezing some of it in containers to sell to clients, and then leaving some in the fridge for her to bake off and sell to clients. And that was our initial test market. Did anyone besides us like this, product? Was anyone else going to like it? And we built up a little following there, particularly because they had a couple gyms in the building that loved our nutrient dense product. And the fact that we were using the oat flour in it, which was lower on the glycemic index. Then she put her cafe up for sale. And we had to seek out a new space. And that's how we kind of fell into an ice cream shop. It was available. We could take over the whole lower level of this building and sell the ice cream, which the bonus in that was it gave us cash to help support Sprout Bake, because the ice cream business was already an established business there. And it was already, had a great clientele. It's next to a park in downtown Lake Orion. It's in a great location. So the bonus was it gave us cash to help us fund Sprout Bake and get that going. So we are in a few retail stores, Lucky's Natural Foods, which is right next to our ice cream shop in downtown Lake Orion. They were the first ones that were very excited about carrying our product. And this is our old packaging in the picture. We sell it at the Cheese Lady in Rochester. It's at Merchant Market, which is in Fieldstone Winery in downtown Rochester. And then we just got our first coffee shop client. So Lava Mountain, which is in Lake Orion on M24, they buy the product frozen and then they bake it off fresh for their clients. They love that they can offer a gluten-free option and they don't have to actually, be mixing up batter every day to make a product, but they can bake it fresh. I had to really kind of sell the owner on this because he's used to buying frozen, already pre-baked frozen product from US Foods that they just heat in the microwave. So I literally bought him a convection oven. And I went in and I showed his staff how to use the convection oven and how super easy it was for them to just thaw, scoop, and bake this product fresh every day, how they weren't going to have waste at the end of the day. They could bake things as they needed it, which was going to reduce their waste, as well. So that's where we're at. We've had a little bit of recognition. We were on Fox 2 with Dina Santafonte and the crew there talking about Sprout Bake. We were the Orion Area Chamber of Commerce 2019 Entrepreneurs of the Year. We were the Lake Orion Review's 2020 Best of the Best Frozen Dessert. And we were just named Oakland Press 2021 Best Dessert in Oakland County. And that includes the ice cream as well. That was cookies and cream and Sprout Bake. that got that recognition. Marketing and social media. So we, of course, are on Facebook and Instagram. We also have a YouTube channel. We have not delved into Twitter, TikTok. We tried a little bit. I'm not hugely familiar with TikTok, and Snapchat we haven't really done a lot much with. But our Sprout Bake followers on Facebook, we have a Sprout Bake page and we have a cookies and cream page for both Facebook and Instagram. Our Sprout Bake followers are 1,114. Our cookies and cream followers on Facebook are 1,034. My personal page for Facebook is double that at 2,430. So of course I share everything to my personal page that we put out. On our email list, we have 776 email addresses. We use Constant Contact for our email marketing. In our loyalty program through our Square, we use Square at Cookies and Cream. We have 848 people in our loyalty program. On our YouTube channel, we have lots of videos on how you can use our product. Also on our website as well. We've done a lot of videos on the different things you can do with the product.
Presentation to this big organization.
Hey, Dorothy.
Sorry, Alaina, just give me a second. Somebody's on who needs to be
starting.
Hold on, can you mute her?
That's what I'm gonna do.
Okay. Guess what? It's my sister.
Okay.
I told all my family I was presenting this morning.
Sure. No, go right ahead. We're good.
So the last slide, of course, what we need. So one of our big struggles has been sourcing quality ingredients in bulk. We would love to source all of our ingredients from Michigan, but currently they're not available in Michigan. The sprouted gluten-free oat flour right now we get in 25-pound bags from Blue Mountain Organics, which it's a great quality product. However, it is not certified gluten-free, which means we can't certify our product gluten-free. Go through that process, which we would like to do. And we have been in talks with a co-packer in Ferndale, Vivio's. Carlo and Jamie Vivio have a gluten-free co-packing facility that could handle our product. But again, we would need our sprouted oat flour to be gluten-free. The sprouted almond butter, like I said, is currently sourced from Wyoming, from Longhurst Farm. I did find out from owner Ray Longhurst, he's 70 years old. He is putting the business up for sale. So we're a little bit nervous about what might happen there. Again, sprouted almond butter it's a little easier to find than sprouted oat flour, but still not widely available on the market. And then our purees, our butternut squash, our sweet potato, and our pumpkin, we get from Farmers Market in Oregon. It's organic, and that's one reason, huge reason why we get it from them. But here's a crazy thing. I have called them directly about purchasing. I can buy a 40-pound aseptic container of the purees directly from them. But when you add the shipping in, my cost is more than what I am able to get it on Amazon. I am buying these purees in 14.5-ounce, cans, like you would at a retail store on Amazon, and it is cheaper than me getting it directly from them because of the shipping. And then our last thing that we would love to figure out is shipping this product direct to a customer. We have tons of people who have told us, I want it, I would love to buy it, but they don't live near where the product is, available. They don't live in this area. So the shipping is an issue that we just haven't been able to figure out yet, how to affordably do that. We have shipped it to Sheridan, Wyoming. They have a retail store there, Longhurst Farm does, and they were dying to sell our product there. because we use their product, right, in our product. And they have a very huge following of people that are very health conscious that shop in their retail store. So we did ship it there, 5 containers. It cost us $30 just for the shipping and the dry ice. And it's a difficult nut to crack, I guess I'll say. No pun intended.
Right.
So that is Sprout Bake. I'm ready to
Cool.
answer questions.
Good job. So that was great, Alaina. So 2 things. We're going to go to questions. I don't see any in the chat, but if people want to come off mute, actually I can see if I have muted anyone that I didn't mean to. Yeah, if you're on mute and you need me to take you off mute, let me know. While we're doing that, though, I'm going to there's a couple of polls. We have to do some housekeeping for 1 million cups. So I'm launching the first one, which is just a question of if this is your first 1 million cups meeting. And once we get back the results of this poll, then I will issue the next one, the last one. We're close. One more.
Hey, Doug, this is Jason. I was going to jump in with a question. Maybe we can ask Alaina some questions before we get people sidetracked.
No, go right ahead. I wasn't sidetracking. I was actually dancing so that people could ask questions.
Hey, Alaina, on the shipping deal, have you looked into Shopify at all?
I have not.
So that might be an opportunity for you. Shopify is a global, like small business opportunity or platform to ship product anywhere in the world. So if you set up a store on Shopify, then you should be able to, I don't think you're going to have any restrictions around the food or the product, unless I'm mistaken, but I would check with Shopify. They tend to let small businesses blow up as far as distribution and delivery for product. So that might be a good option for you.
Thank you. I certainly know about Shopify and have heard about it. And I do believe it's an available plugin for our website as well.
Yeah, most of them are allowed Shopify to be associated right into the website. Yeah, so that might be an easy opportunity for you to expand into, outside of the direct local area.
As well, Alaina, there's I have done some work with a ice cream novelties business who's intending to ship nationwide. So I've got some contacts I can share with you about packaging, shipping dry ice, all of that stuff because if you're shipping it frozen, and dry ice definitely sends it frozen, and then I guess people would put it in the refrigerator, let it thaw out. It has to get to a temperature that they can actually come near it. But there's already platforms set up to do that could help you. So I can share that with you after this.
Thank you.
You bet. You mind if I, I want to understand what you want to be doing is selling direct to consumer, or do you want to be selling to retail how are you looking at that?
Well, from what I've learned over the past couple of years about, getting into the retail market, right? Getting into grocery stores. It's a big battle for a startup.
Can be, yeah.
And the margin, here's the difficulty. I'm producing a product, and I know many in the health food arena, we're using expensive ingredients. Our cost of goods is high. I can't just use the cheapest white flour that I can buy, which means my margin is lower, right? Is tighter.
Mm-hmm.
So when you add in the cut that a distributor is going to get, and then the cut that the retailer is going to get, it's really difficult to leave a margin for yourself. So that's the battle. And so my thought was, we know the market is out there for healthy gluten-free products, and that people buy online every day, all the time now, right? And especially since, last March, people are even more used to purchasing online, and they're seeking out specific, products like ours. And so my thought is, we could make a better margin if we could sell direct. Could we make a better margin selling direct to customer, and not going through a distributor?
Right. Well, at the stage you're at, you might not, just to get some retail distribution, you might not use a distributor. When you get to a size or a scale, then there are distributors who are focused on, startup or just past startup size businesses. Other thing, and I don't want to monopolize, but one other thing a note I made was gyms. You were already, I heard gyms, I went, well, that's an obvious market. You've got people who are already health conscious. The nutrient dense thing is important. People, especially after working out, want to have a fix of, nutrient and a reward, because I saw in a lot of things you're talking about the product as as dessert, or holiday, which is about reward, or specialness. And I wondered whether that wasn't an opportunity to, so if you're not going direct to retail per se, but if you were staging distribution and targeting gyms for that market, it has a couple of benefits. I think one is, if you can build a following among those people, wider than the Rochester, Lake Orion area, because that's right now, that's kind of where you are. If you could build out what little excursions to gyms, excuse me, that might help build a following that might actually help you get into retailers and or get people ordering directly.
So it's funny you say that, because one of my good friends, Lisa Jensdaw, she bought the cafe that I started in, and owned that until the pandemic hit, and it kind of was the demise of their business, but it's called Freedom Kitchen. She has a vision of working directly with health coaches. So she's a health coach herself. Health coaches, struggle to make enough money. And her idea was to partner with health coaches to do like affiliate marketing. So a health coach promotes your product, right, as a healthy option, and then they get an affiliate link. And every time somebody buys from their site or from them, they're like your sales force, so to speak. And she and I have been kind of trying to work on this over the past year. She's done a tremendous amount of work in building out a platform that health coaches could be part of, in order to have access then to food producers like myself.
That's an influencer strategy that would be terrific, again, for particularly your type of food and your type of business. That's cool. There's a company called Nerdy Nuts, which is it's a premium peanut butters or nut butters that did a really good job with influencer marketing. I don't think they really intended for it to blow up the way it did, but it's it started as a garage sort of business, and it blew up when they got into the right influencers they sent them product, they said wonderful things because it's a good product, and then they gave them a percentage of sales if they use their code. It's just what you're talking about. So that can really work. Go ahead, sorry.
One thought that I had, it's not going to be great advice because of COVID, but getting the product into corporate cafeterias once people start going back to offices. I think a lot of companies are looking for easy options for their employees to, have something that meets their health needs in their cafeteria. So maybe, I don't know, a year, 2 years from now, whenever, that may be a good option for you.
You mean if people ever go back to the office?
Right. You need to eat lunch in the cafeteria at work, right?
That's a great idea.
I had a quick question. Really interesting product, Alaina. As someone who really loves gluten, I have to say that these products look really good, and I would eat these. They look really, really good. Have you put any thought in or looked into actually producing the oat flour yourself?
So I've thought about it. Yes. I actually have, I grew up on a dairy farm. So my parents are still alive on the farm. We have 300 acres. And my nephews are now growing hops. You know what? On the farm. And I have thought about that. But I grew up on a farm as well. So
It would give you an interesting
I know how
marketing-
much work it is.
Yeah. It would give you an interesting marketing angle, because you could say not only do we produce great products, but we also produce the raw material as well. You might be able to source the raw oats a little bit easier than say the finished flour itself. Just a thought I had.
No, I think I agree with Justin, especially when you were describing the challenges that you're facing now cost-wise, and that you fear you will be facing with your raw material sources. That's a little bit of a scary possibility, especially if those folks retire, and as you said, the cost of getting some raw materials. It's surprising to me that Michigan doesn't have that there aren't Michigan or not manufacturers, but growers, producers of those.
Yeah.
Have you connected at all with is it well, Michigan State does a really, I thought, a really great job of Michigan State University does a really great job of putting together Michigan food growers, producers, and entrepreneurs.
Yes, we're part of, so that was the very first, when we decided to start this business, I was Googling, all kinds of help, right, for food startups. And the MSU Product Center was the first one. It was $50 to sign up and be a client. And then they assign you I guess a counselor, maybe you'd call them, or a coach. Becky DeYoung is the person that we've worked with there for the last 2 years. And she was absolutely instrumental in helping us get started, particularly navigating, licensing and food packaging and nutrition label, and right, all those things that you have to, hoops you have to jump through. And we attended we've attended a couple of conferences that they've put on up in Lansing, where, yes, they do work to try and connect you with local sources of ingredients. Omena Foods is one that does produce some of the puree, but they don't do the butternut squash. They only do the pumpkin. That's it. They don't do the butternut or the sweet potato, which was kind of a bummer because they're a great Michigan-based company. So I know I thought about growing sweet potatoes too, since, I do have access to 300 acres.
You have the acreage.
It's just, do I really want to go that route?
Well, and obviously, just to clarify, I just wanted to say I was more talking about actually just sourcing the raw oats themselves from somewhere instead of farming.
Yes. But my mind went back to, right?
Sure, you're actually doing it, right?
Because of how I grew up. Hence the reason I am not a farmer. And I didn't marry a farmer either. So.
Other questions, comments? I come from a food marketing background, so I would go all day on this, but I'm not going to.
Well, then maybe you and I should set up a call.
Oh, happy to. No, I'll contact you about about your sourcing, to shipping and that stuff, and I'm happy to talk about it because this is just the stuff I love. So, um, what was the other thing? When I understand sprout bake, I'm just, guys, I apologize. I'm talking because I don't see any thing in the chat and no one's cutting in. So I figure I'd use the time if that's okay. I get sprout bake because the core of your idea is about sprouted product, right? That's the real, a lot of people do gluten-free, but the whole sprouted thing is what provides the difference for your products, right?
Right.
So that's cool. I get that. Do you, when you presented to or talked to folks about taking on the product, you had to, well, you bought the one convection oven. That was the key thing, because it sounded like that was the key hurdle for them to get over. Is we think that this will be difficult to do, to actually deliver fresh product, because that's a terrific offering from a coffee shop, from a gym, from whatever. And if they're not already set up for that, then they may not know how to do it. But I would guess that many coffee shops and many gyms that have snack bars would have that already in place, I'm guessing.
I didn't think about gyms with snack bars. I'm writing.
Well,
that
they
down.
all do, because that's what people, I mean, not they all do, but a lot of them do. That's what I meant when I was saying gyms, is that so many of them, I mean, so my wife is gluten-free now. And the similar sort of thing that you were talking about is kind of understanding what was causing issues and figured it out. And now figured her mother as well, had figured out the same sort of thing. So I get that whole process. That's a bigger problem than people even understand it to be. And immediately started identifying at the gym she was going to before COVID, and everywhere else where the gluten-free things were. And you identified exactly what the issue is with gluten-free, is that it's like what low-fat was a while ago. Lots of low-fat things, but none of them tasted good. We've now gotten over that to a degree. Gluten-free is kind of at that same thing where we're just trying to figure out how to make things that are gluten-free taste good, but yours is
Nutrient dense.
that's the key thing. And that's why I thought that the sprout part was smart, particularly because it's not gluten. It's like gluten-free is now like greens fees. You got to be gluten-free for that audience, but the nutrient dense is the thing that that provides the leg up on everything.
Right.
But that's why I thought that's why I went to the gyms when you said you were in one already. And so many of them have snack bars, because people coming out of a workout, they want a smoothie or they want a muffin or they want a something. And they either want to sit down and talk to people, or they just want something to recharge themselves as they leave. And nutrient dense has a really nice ring. A handheld nutrient dense thing I can take and go in the car with would be, seems to me like a terrific opportunity.
Right.
If they can deliver it fresh, that's even better. Then you've got converts at the gyms, and that's a ready audience for people buying things directly from you, or from retail, or a reason they go into a retailer and say, why can't I get this here?
Right.
Which would be
Right.
great.
Yep. And I'm going to call out Linda. Linda is from Non's Butter, and she's a previous 1 Million Cups presenter. So what'd you think, Linda?
Oh, great
How'd they
presentation.
do?
You did great. I did want to add in that unlike our friend Justin, I'm not a gluten-free fan at all. I don't like gluten foods. So I would testify to Alaina's product that it's not like what you were saying, Doug, to a gluten-free product where we just wonder, is this going to be good? Is it not going to be good? Do I like it or do I not like it? I have a few friends of mine who are gluten-free, And you know, Alaina, I host often, and I can't find the right foods to make where I think they taste good. So I'm not saying it because you're my good friend, but her muffins are really good. You wouldn't think that they were a gluten-free sprouted bake, the stigma of real nutrition type foods that we kind of are like, well, I'll just eat it because it's good for me. It's actually really good. I always rave about your whoopie pies because I think they're phenomenal. I was going to suggest, because I'm a mom of young kids, you know, Alaina, I think schools are a good place to somehow get into. Our moms are always looking for something quick and fast to make for their kids, but they feel good about. My husband will take the kids to the grocery store and he'll come back with these sugar-filled muffins, and I sweat when my kids are just taking them down in the morning. But I would be so happy when they're just taking down your muffins. So I think that's a huge market that you could hit these days. I mean, now you can kind of hit it better. Kids are not just at home, but also because parents are at home, it is a benefit too.
Mhm.
Going back to, I know, because you know, with naans, so we struggle the same way with naans because the product is so expensive. And how do we get the margins and how do we get it in the stores? I don't know the answer to this question. I'm just throwing it out there that because we are a small company, it's almost like, do we take the little bit of loss inside of all of the big grocery stores that support products like us, whether it's our local Vincent Joe's, Nino's, Whole Foods, to get the image out there while you're focusing on all the rest, because those are all within our area, right? But there's huge volume. And if I was walking through the grocery store and they had your samples and then I read what it was, I would go look for them. So although our margins aren't there, I still think it's a benefit to get yourself in all those places. And like Doug was saying, you don't need the distribution at this point because you can just drop off along with, you know, getting that one-to-one on sale.
To
Because
Linda's point, she's using retailers almost as media.
yeah, like not your influencers, but similar to we need something in between, because we're not craft, we're not, you know, we'd like to be Annie's, you know, the Annie's brand did that, you know, you had one product too, and then all of a sudden it's easy now. I don't have to read the labels anymore. I'm on Organic Life. I just look for Annie's. Well, if I knew Sprout Bake was somewhere and I can always get it, it's just not, we lose because we're not readily available and we're not visible.
If I can piggyback on one thing, another thing that Linda said, if I heard, so by putting gluten-free at the top, you know, is making that prominent, you raise the question that people have, gluten-free doesn't taste good. Whereas if gluten-free was less prominent, it's basically just and it's gluten-free. But that's not the key thing that you'd be talking about. That's what I was getting from Linda's point about we question gluten-free being good tasting.
Yeah, and two, I think there's still very few of us that are so health conscious, and even those that are very health conscious still break their own rules and buy the goody stuff, you know. And so I think the market is still more, people care about those things, but people still buy what they like, as healthy as they are. They'll say, oh, I'm cheating today, you know, so we always have that cheat pile in the cupboard. So I think I learned from our experience that, you know, you want people to just love that about your product, but those who are that conscious about that already look for that. We don't have to try to sell them. It's just selling a really good product. So sometimes looking at it from selling to everybody versus just that particular, branch of people.
Hey, I'm going to ask if people are on blank screen, if you'd come off, because what we'd like to do at near the end of our meetings is to do a little toast. So if you have then they'll take a picture that we can then post on our 1 Million Cups Facebook. So if you have a cup, you don't have one like mine though, but Alaina's going to.
Go get it.
There you go. So I have to put mine down because I have to press some buttons to do a print screen or to save the screenshot. So if you're able to, please, I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, smile, and then let's do that. 1, 2, 3, toast and smile. Come on, Shannon, there you go. Mike, are you gonna? Cindy, are you gonna?
Mike's my husband. He probably isn't dressed yet.
Okay, well then, Mike, please don't. 1, 2, 3, please smile. Wait, do it again. Wait, smile. Great. Thanks very much.
He's recently retired.
Ah, that's okay. I'm not, no, there's no judging. I was just,
But I get lists and lists and lists every day.
All those lists.
I know how that
He
goes.
does. He does.
Great.
We have a couple more from our foodpreneur group that are on. So I introduced Shannon, and then Deb Silver. She's the owner of Silver Shamrocks. And then
Welcome.
we have Jesse, who's with Dream Dinners, who's on the call as well. And then I introduced BIG Granola, and then Non-Sputter and Cindy from Zoot. So thanks you guys for being
Fantastic.
on.
Well, great. Are there other, we now do 1 million cups, Metro Detroit, every Wednesday at 9 o'clock. We'll have 1 or 2 presenters depending on the week and who's up. It's great if you, yeah, thank you, Stephen. Please join our community. If you go to the website, you can sign up and you'll get reminders of our weekly meetings. You'll also have the, opportunity to sign up to present. One great, among other things, but one great benefit of presenting to our 1 Million Cups chapter is we happen to have 2 terrific coaches who will work with you in putting together your presentation. Jason's on now, Joe was on earlier, and they're terrific coaches. They'll help, it really, even just the process of putting your presentation together, 6 slides, which is not a big lift by any stretch. At least it shouldn't be. Even the process of putting that together with either of these guys is really a benefit to your businesses. Anyone who has presented will very likely tell you. If I encourage you, please to sign up so that you get reminders of our meetings, to present or to consider presenting. There are 1 Million Cups chapters across the country. So if you were to go on to 1millioncups.com, you could actually be seeing 1 Million Cups meetings from all across the country. Not in our time zone because ours is at 9 o'clock on Wednesdays, but time zones all across the country. And I encourage you to do that because there's some great presenters every single Wednesday from all different communities, and you can learn a heck of a lot from just listening to their presentations and listening to the comments and likewise. Plus, when you sign up on 1 Million Cups, when you present, there's a whole bunch of entrepreneurial resources that are available to you. That's part of the Kauffman Foundation's purpose, is education and connection and support for entrepreneurs. So, and by the way, the Marion Kauffman Foundation is the sponsor of 1 Million Cups, the nonprofit organization out of Kansas City, which does terrific work. And 1 Million Cups is one piece of the work they do in a lot of different areas across the country. With that, we're gonna, unless somebody's got something else, and I can stop blathering. If anyone have any announcements for organizations or moves that they're making or that their business is making, please, now is your opportunity to say something, and otherwise we can sign off early.
I don't have an announcement, but I do have a quick question. If I'm understanding correctly, the presentations are for companies that have been in business less than 2 years. Is that correct?
Really, it's officially less than 5 years.
Okay.
We like to keep it to less than 3 years, but the Kauffman Foundation has done a bunch of research and has identified that up to 5 years is what they call the danger zone for startups. That once you're past that 5-year period, generally you've got a going Jenny, you've got a healthy business or an ongoing business. So they really like to concentrate on what they call early stage startups.
Okay.
So that's less, it's 5 years or less. We try to keep it to the earlier part of that, but there's really, if people are, even if people are pivoting to something different, that's kind of a new startup as well.
There you
Well, I
go.
find myself in an interesting position because I have been in business for 7 years. However, during that 7-year period of time, we went through an extensive period where I was the caregiver for my dad going through cancer. And then I had 3 major surgeries that involved months and months and months of recuperation. So really, during that 7 years, I've mostly just kept it going, not necessarily grown. So I'm not sure where the best fit is for growing something that would be at this stage.
So I'm looking at other team members. I think that's, I mean, that was kind of it was a side hustlepreneur for a while, and now
It had to be, yeah.
then I think that you definitely qualify. And I wouldn't, frankly, Shannon, I wouldn't worry about it. The process of you apply, and there's some discussion of what you're doing and how long, but that's I wouldn't worry about it.
And
Okay.
Shannon, you have a new product line that you're wanting to launch.
I do, yes.
Yeah, so that's what you concentrate on.
Yeah, I do. I have a line. I spent COVID playing with the concept of cooking with tea. So tea is something we're all familiar with drinking, but outside of our cup, there's not really anything to do with it. So I've explored the option of cooking with tea, and I actually created a line of 6 spice blends that contain tea within that blend.
Really cool concept.
They're very cool.
So I have a very good friend who, and he is, besides being a surgeon, he has a supplements company. And part of what he does every day, and he's been telling me this for years, is he makes his special tea, but then after he drinks the tea, he eats it, the tea.
Yep.
And which I said, well, why would you do that? He said, oh no, the antioxidants and everything in it are really, really good for you. So yeah, there's precedent. At least I know a precedent for.
Yes, only hopefully this tastes a little better than just eating raw steeped leaves straight.
Yeah, he's not been saying that it was like delicious.
No, it is not. I have tried that, but no.
Eat your tea.
Right, there you go. Anyone, anything? Well, with that, then I thank you so much. This has been a great morning. Alaina, great job, and great discussion from everybody. And please, the folks who are in your foodpreneur group, encourage you to sign up for 1 Million Cups and come present. It's, early stage to later early stage, rebooting or pivoting. This is a terrific forum to help to kind of figure out if you need to figure out what you're doing or where your challenges are, and lots of people who are anxious and willing to offer support. Spread on, cool. Okay, everybody, thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Have a good day.